Instructional design, Morrison, Ross, and Kemp model. Gerald Kemp first developed the Kemp model of instructional design in 1985. The model was modified by Kemp, Gary Morrison, and Stephen Ross in 1994. Designing Effective Instruction is now in its 7th edition with Howard Coleman as a co-author. Morrison, Ross, and Kemp approach instructional design from the learner's perspective. The key to this model as a teacher is its flexibility. I can start at any point in the process and follow the oval to improve or change instruction as needed. Instructional problems and relevant goals, step 1. Before design of instruction, the designer needs to know why we need the instruction. Ways to identify problems or goals include needs analysis, goals analysis, and performance assessment. At this stage, the designer needs to look at the outcomes intended for the learner and the problems the instruction needs to address. Step 2, examining learner characteristics. Here, the designer looks at the learner's characteristics that may affect learning and outcomes along with prior knowledge and skill. The designer may look at learning styles at this point and address them as possible. Step 3, selecting content and tasks for goals. Identifying the content and analyzing the components of the task related to the goals and purpose. What media and materials present the instruction best and will appeal to the learner. Step 4, specify instructional goals. The designer determines the objectives or states them if they are predetermined. Step 5, content for learning. The content should be organized in a way that maximizes the learning potential of the student. The way the lessons build on each other should have a logical sequence for the learner to follow. Select strategies for learning, step 6. At this phase, the designer must determine the best way to deliver the material so that the instruction is meaningful and the learner is able to master the material. Step 7, planning and developing the instruction. The instruction needs to be ordered so that the learning is maximized. The designer needs to decide how to guide the learner to the most important portion of the instruction and choose images and delivery to enhance the process. Step 8, selecting resources that support learning. Resources must be chosen to maximize the time the learner spends on the course. In choosing materials, the designer must use the appropriate method of delivery and content. Step 9, evaluations that assess objectives. Here the goal is to determine if the learner mastered the material. Evaluations should be designed to find out if the learner mastered the material and to get feedback to the changes that might need to be made. And all changes must be made before the course is repeated. David J. Fault and W. Glenn Mangold describe the development of a social media and marketing class using the Kemp model in Marketing Education Review, Volume 24, Number 2, 2014. With the rise of marketing education research and the use of various social media venues, marketing educators have an opportunity to address this development by creating a marketing curriculum. The Kemp model was recommended for its flexibility by technology specialists. They believed it would adapt to the rapidly changing world of social media. With the oval nature of the model, it emphasizes the constant need to monitor the progress and revise the overall learning experience in the course. 3 course objectives were laid out, and the selection of course activities began. The designers looked to combine direct experience with guided reflection and analysis in a student-centered course. Materials and resources were chosen. The designers incorporated multiple experiential activities, and then custom design quizzes were developed for weekly assessments. Each course offering was evaluated to improve it before it was offered again. Julia Sims and David S. Knowlton used the Morrison, Ross, and Kemp model for an adult learner's computer-based course on fractions that appeared in the Journal of Developmental Education, Volume 32, Issue 1, Fall 2008. Developmental mathematics instructors at community colleges work to develop a computer-based mathematics course on fractions based on the needs of the learners. Technology instructors recommended the use of the Kemp model, and adult learners report computer-based instruction the best means of delivery for them. The designers looked at the objectives learners need to meet that relate to fractions. To choose a means of instruction, designers knew adult students need efficient and relevant learning experiences that use computers that keep learners actively engaged. Subject objectives were written that focused on content and performance. Throughout the design process, the authors used select aspects of the Morrison-Ross-Kemp model. They urge instructors in the developmental education field to focus on instructional strategies and not just computer-based use for their learners. Teaching vectors using the Kemp model. Step 1. Studies have shown that about a third of physics students are knowledgeable about vectors. That leaves two-thirds lacking. Students need to master the vector math needed to understand other topics such as forces and momentum. Limitations in math skills may be a hurdle to overcome, but not for every student. Step 2. Learners are juniors and seniors in a high school with a variety of math levels and abilities. All are college bound according to their diploma choice. All have chosen to take AP Physics 1 over a general physics course. I would like to know the math levels of all students taking AP Physics 1. Perhaps a math inventory could be given to students to determine the areas of need. All students are technologically savvy. However, online discussion and communication for learning may need to be taught. Step 3. A look at online physics resources and activities available would be necessary for this step. Online textbooks, PhET labs, and the physics classroom are some options. They would need to be evaluated to make sure they maximize learning. Step 4. All objectives are predetermined. Step 5. Sequencing content. Learners should be able to build on prior knowledge. All learners have used a map and the scale that goes along with the map. I'll start with an activity, having them measure vectors on a map, and then proceed, building on that activity, the other vector knowledge. Step 6. There's a great deal of research based on how students learn physics. Reading some of the research would allow me to plan ideal instruction and order of activities to maximize learning. Step 7. This vector unit would be a short unit within my AP Physics 1 course. Students will self-pace with a goal of finishing by a 3-week deadline. Content would be completed easily within less time than this so that students who struggle can repeat any activities that may need to be repeated. Step 8. Learners should have support during the activity, so I would be available to them via class time and through email. I would start a discussion for students to ask each other questions as they go through activities. And then step 9. Evaluation of the unit is crucial in assuring that the needs of the students are met. Short quizzes would be distributed throughout the learning process. At the end of the unit, students will take a written exam in class with similar question types. I would also survey them after they complete the unit to see what parts of the learning experience were beneficial and how they would change it to improve. I have some resources listed here. Thank you.